Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the ESL UK Premiership Promotional Tournament. My name is Munchballs, and casting with me is Vedius, and we are here for our third game of the day. It's going to be PariaG versus TGR Esports, and it should be a relatively explosive matchup. On our blue side, we have PariaG. Now, these guys have come up through the major ladder, and honestly, they look to be a bit of a sort of solo queue squad. They came together just to compete in the ladder. And from speaking to one of the players, I don't think they honestly expected to get this far, but looking at their statistics, I mean, their lowest rated member in solo queue is Diamond 3. So these guys are certainly in with a chance to get into this tournament, and they're going to be looking to be a contender heading into the actual tournament itself. They certainly have that shot at maybe reaching the third or fourth place position, but I mean, it's all down to how they play. They could be they could just come out of nowhere. Maybe they all work together perfectly well. But then on the other side, we have TGR Esports. Now, these guys are lower rated solo queue wise, but they're a group of friends, so they have that synergy, they have that teamwork available to them, and that's how they've managed to climb the ladder themselves. Now, both of these teams are from the major ladder. They've achieved their entry that way, so we'll have to see how well. Yeah, we're just going to bring up the TGR lineup for you guys, and we'll show you who we're dealing with here. Obviously, Freudian slip. I absolutely love that name. I think that's one of the best names in the competition so far. But as you can see, not much in the way of social media for either of these teams, as they have come together specifically for this tournament. But we do have a short interview with Wilson, the mid laner for TGR, which we're going to bring up for you guys in just a few seconds, and we'll see what he has to say entering the tournament. Obviously, coming in as a group of friends, they're going to be needing a lot of teamwork to make it into the tournament.
Hi, I'm Henry Wilson. I'm playing mid lane for TGR Esports, and we're happy to be in the Premier. Well, we've played a tournament before. We played Insomnia 52, but with two different people. A couple of us went to Insomnia 53 or 54. We're probably the underdogs. I think we're seeded quite low. We're not too sure how we're going to do. We're going to try our best. Well, we have a couple comps which might make us shine, but we're pretty comfortable. We're still practicing, so we've got this week to practice, but all I can say is shields. Got some shield comps. Not too sure about how we would rank everyone against each other, nor against us. So as I said before, we're probably seeded pretty low. Our solo queue rating is probably plat, so it's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be fun. Well, we're feeling pretty confident. Like, we don't really know who we're playing against, but we sort of know because we've played Insomnia and we've played the ESL tournament to get into this. But yeah, just go in with it, see how well we can do. Hopefully we can get into it. Shout out to all of our 3 fans out there. We're not really known, so hopefully we can get some more fans after this. Cheers.
And there you go, you heard it here first, folks. So they're looking for more fans. If you want to be a fan of TGR, you know where to find them. But we are just going to be quickly remaking the lobby, and we'll be into Champion Select within a few moments. But certainly, as we've said, TGR not looking massively confident heading into this, but neither were PariaG when I spoke to them. So this really could go either way, and I feel it's going to be basically similar to the game with the Null in it. It was basically kind of mechanical skill versus teamwork and synergy and working together as a unit. Now in the Null game, mechanical skill kind of pretty heavily won. So we'll have to see if that's going to be the case here, or whether teamwork will prevail. Only one way to find out.
Yeah, so they did talk about shield comps potentially coming out. So maybe we'll see something like a Lulu coming out from the side, very particular and common shield comp that you will see. Maybe a protect the AD carry is something that they would like to do. We might see also a Shen in the top lane. That might be something that they favour if they're aiming for that sort of heavy-duty shield sort of comp. So I am expecting them to come out with like a do-or-die type of comp, because as they say, they do feel like the underdogs. They do feel like that they recognise that the tournament will be a challenge for them. So they don't really have the opportunity to play it safe. That they have to take these risks. They have to go for those early game plays, snowball an early lead, and do the best that they can.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously this first round is best of ones, so they have that opportunity. They have sort of the chance to try and make those kinds of plays. But the rest of the tournament is going to be best of threes, so you can't really get away with that in the long term. When it turns into a best of three scenarios, the other teams will be able to adapt. They'll be able to ban out specific champions. So if we do see something maybe a little bit cheesy coming out of either of these teams, the other teams will know about it for the future. But obviously the first round, best of ones, we definitely could see something like that come out just to secure themselves this first win.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that Gravity, who are currently top of the NALCS, are the kings of cheese.
Keen absolutely loves it.
So it's definitely possible. Like, obviously, Gravity are a good team, but cheese can get you far. What I like to call the Victor effect, right? And the Victor effect is the idea. Back when Victor was first released, I used to play him a lot, and I used to win the lane all the time because people had no idea how to play the matchup. And so that is what I call the Victor effect. And perhaps if they bring something that their opponents have never seen before, maybe if they bring out something really unique, maybe we'll see an Olaf mid, for example. How do you even play again?
In fairness, I happen to be somewhat of an expert on Olaf mid. I may only be a gold 2, and that might have some influence in this. But Undertow scales particularly well with AD, and you have true damage. I've won a lot of games with Olaf.
Well, there you go, exactly. So that's a prime example there of the Victor effect. Playing against something that you have
the munchable seal of approval.
Something that the enemy team has no idea how to play. And we saw a bit of that in the Nor game from the last one. It felt like that GIM White's mid laner had no idea how to deal with an Aurelia mid. It's not a particularly common thing, and really I only ever see Aurelia mids in high elo, and even then it's not that common. So it's not something that you regularly practice against. It's not something that you can really expect, and it's possible. Maybe we have another 8-0 Olaf mid that can just solo carry the game. We'll have to see what kind of cheese and what kind of interesting picks that they do come out with.
And the thing is as well, like specifically with the Aurelia pick, is it's a specific counter pick. Something we talked about was it kind of counters these champions that want to just farm up in lane. They want to be poke champions, so they don't go for anything too aggressive early on, and it's specifically to play against those. But if you're a player in one of these tournaments, you need to be playing, you need to be practicing all the time. So maybe you don't have the time to watch LPL, to watch the LCK, all of these other regions that started to become sort of commonplace against picks like Varus and Kog'Maw.
Right.
So realistically, that might have not even been something that crossed their mind that they were going to be against an Aurelia mid. So definitely a difficult one.
During Champ Select, we didn't even consider it a possibility. No. I mean, I did mention that in terms of Dynasty's champion pool, as a common mid laner against him, I've always considered it fairly small. However, the fact that he was so proficient on that Aurelia shows that even if he does have a small champ pool, his ability to play those champions is exceptionally high. So it'll be... I'm looking forward to see what they bring out. Like, it is do or die, I would say. It is best of one. There is, of course, a losers bracket, for those that might not know. Tomorrow we will have the semi-finals, which will all be best of threes, I do believe.
Yes.
And XL and the Nor have already got a spot into the semi-finals. So those games will be broadcast tomorrow. And during the best of threes, I'm looking forward to them, because I know you don't see very many of them, and a lot of these teams aren't that well versed in best of three. So it'll be interesting to see how well they adapt, because the Nor might get away with an Aurelia in the first game, but are they going to get away with it in games 2 and 3?
Exactly, that is the kind of question. And I was going to go on to Aurelia again. We probably shouldn't talk about specifically just Aurelia, but we are just having a couple of issues getting the players back into the lobby, obviously. tournament codes can all be a bit awkward at times, so we'll get underway as soon as possible for you guys. But looking at this game specifically, and having just seen the Null game where sort of mechanical prowess won over, and potentially down to a little bit of a cheesy pick as well, how do you feel this one's going to go out? Now, Pariah on paper look like stronger players. Are TGR going to be able to pull ahead in this one? Or?
I honestly believe that if they can pull out a very solid comp and don't throw away the early game, they stand a fair chance. But if they get face rolled in the lanes, then it's going to be exactly the same story with the Null. Because I honestly think GIM had a good comp, and if they'd managed to get through that early game, then they would have been fine. But because of how out of control Dynasty got on earlier, so again, it's all about the lanes. The lanes are probably the most important thing in this particular matchup. They just need to not die. That needs to be their win condition. If we do not die, we'll be able to hold our own coming into the mid to late game. Because even the best teams in the world make mistakes, and as long as you make less mistakes than your opponents, then you can win. So
that is League of Legends down to a T. There's a quote from Odd One where solo queue is the game of not throwing. Whoever can not throw for the longest wins the game in solo queue. We'll have to see if these guys can avoid throwing as we head into our third game of the day. We are having a bit of an issue getting these guys into the game. We could end up with teams missing bans and things like that if they can't get going as soon as possible. And we're just going to bring up the bracket for you guys so we can see where we are so far in this tournament. We're just going to bring that on screen, and as you can see, XL obviously earlier today managed to beat out Critical Esports, and we saw the Null beating out In Motion White. So we have two of our semi-finalists locked in, and honestly, that could well be two of the teams that move straight through. However, TCA could definitely be sort of a spanner in the works for XL Esports. TCA definitely on paper looking to be a strong contender.
Yeah, having known some of the members from Terracotta Army, having played against them in the last ESL Premiership, unfortunately for them, they were denied entry into the last ESL Premiership thanks to XL. It actually came down to, for the final qualifiers, it was XL versus TCA for those last two spots, and it was XL that knocked them out and took the spot for themselves. So I'm sure TCA want a bit of vengeance. They want to get that win over XL, take the spot back that they thought they earned back then. So it'll definitely be a good match if that is the one that happens to be. We do have GIM Black coming out on the other side, and they're also a worthy component. So
they certainly are.
It does look like we're going to be jumping into Champ Select soon. All of the issues do apparently appear to be resolved.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So we should have that up on your screen relatively soon.
We certainly should. And on the blue side, we have PariaG already starting off with their first ban of Alistair. And I mean, Alistair, and then followed by Siva. So basically the two most standard bans. We'll get that onto your screens in just a moment. There it is. Obviously, Alistair and Siva, the first two bans, very standard, very meta, very just, I don't want to play against this right now because it's stupid.
Yeah, we saw Jokerism, Siva in the first game be absolutely dominant, 6-0-13 on that champ. Very good at all kind of comps, speed comps, pick comps, teamfight comps, can work in a variety of different comps. Very strong champion. And we also see how effective Bears was last game on that Alistair. Another very strong support in the current meta, as well as an Aurelia ban. Perhaps that's a bit of a target ban. They know someone from TGR does play that champion, and they've decided, no, we don't want to deal with that monstrosity.
Interestingly as well, slightly off topic, but we have two different bacon-related usernames here. So not only are they playing for their spot in the Premiership, but they're also playing for the sort of the bacon title. Yeah, this is the battle of the bacon, as it were. We're going to see an Annie banned out, which is not a ban I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, it does appear to be another target ban, and it works very well, top, mid, and support, really. It's not something that you see very often in top lane, but having played against it in solo queue, I believed once that Aurelia would be a great pick into Annie. It's not. It's not even slightly. Annie top can be a bit of a terror, but I assume that it would be more towards the support and mid lane. Very I don't want to insult the champion, but it is very a basic champion. There are very few ways to play Annie badly. So perhaps they feel that they don't want to give that type of comfort pick for TGR. And you do see a Fizz ban. Flash is very well known for his Fizz. He's also very well known for his Hecarim. I'm not sure if you saw the Null the other day, but he was playing Hecarim top, and he solo carried. He had a monstrous score of 20 plus kills, and he is a very, very, very talented Hecarim top.
Certainly is. And I mean, Hecarim is one of those champions that if you can get the ball rolling, or galloping as it were, you can just completely steamroll the game. And just, it's so difficult to deal with that as well, especially when you get a teleport, home guard gank coming in, and we see Elise being hovered now. Elise has been banned the other 2 games so far.
Yeah,
We'll wait until it's locked in before we talk about it. We won't get too excited.
They might be trolling us.
But on the other side, we see Jinx and Nautilus. Now, this could be a Nautilus top, could be support, but Jinx is an AD carry that we don't see all too often at the moment.
Yeah, Jinx is one of my personally favorite AD carries, but the biggest problem with Jinx is she has no skills to support her damage. So if we just think about Sivir, she has her Boomerang Blade and Ricochet to weave in between her attacks, so she's constantly doing damage in between auto attacks. Jinx is very similar to Caitlyn in the sense that they scale very well because their auto attacks do a ridiculous amount of damage. They're purely auto attack based, but in the laning phase, their trading potential is somewhat weak. So with a frontline Nautilus in the way, assuming that it is support rather than top lane, it works very well with the Jinx. So that's probably just a comfort pick. It does scale very well, and for people that can play it very well, it can be a nuisance to deal with. However, an immobile champ picked into Hecarim, very risky. He's got to have to be very confident on that champion to pick into Hecarim.
Well, Jinx is sort of historically one of the favourite AD carry picks within the UK League of Legends scene. We'll see if 11-2 can sort of live up to that reputation that Jinx has within the UK, but we have seen the Elise locked in. Very, very powerful after the recent changes. And I know multiple junglers in this tournament have been practicing this in solo queue, trying to improve their skills with Elise so that they can play it here.
Definitely. As we've already mentioned earlier on, her spiderlings have been changed, so now that they do magic damage instead of attack damage. And so with Elise, you generally want to rush magic penetration early anyway. So you want to get early haunting guys, you want to get sorcerer's boots. Those are the sort of things that give Elise early a ridiculous amount of damage. On top of the rune glaive, which is basically a sheen, it just works so well on Elise. So her early game has a monstrous amount of damage. And with the cocoon, that's had a slight buff in terms of its stun duration, and with the repel, so you now get empowered auto attacks once you use repel, makes her pretty terrifying in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to see how well it does. I haven't actually seen the new Elise play. I say new Elise. The champion itself isn't that different, but obviously with that on top of the AP changes, it turns into a pretty significant buff. And we're going to see our last 2 picks locked in here as well, Kalista and Ahri. So honestly, relatively standard lineup there. Not really any flex picks at all. Just going to be seeing the sort of Kalista AD carry, Thresh support, Ahri in the mid lane, and no other swaps outside of that one. This could well be, dare I say it, Trundle support?
Bold, very bold decision.
It could, I mean, the Nautilus could be the support either, or they could still be picking jungler by the looks of things. So
they're trying us a little bit.
It
looks
will
like they've
be
decided to go
Nautilus.
for the...
or Lee Sin support, you never know. It's not going to be Lee Sin support. I wish. AP, Lee Song.
Yeah, so they have decided to pick Kalista Thresh into the Jinx Nautilus bottom lane. Again, we did mention earlier that Kalista has had some nerfs. She's the only AD carry champion that no longer scales 1-to-1 with her AD and her auto attacks. But her rend is still relatively strong, and with the backing of a Thresh where they can do a ridiculous amount of combos, so you Fate's Call the Thresh back into you throw him backwards, and then he throws a lantern, and you take the lantern, and you can make a ridiculous amount of distance over a very short space of time. So very nice combination in the bottom lane. We'll have to see how that goes. They might consider a lane swap, especially against a top laner that has no flash. A lane swap can always be good, but it depends how proficient they are in lane swapping. But I'm a little disappointed that TGR have decided to go for somewhat of a standard comp. I was expecting an Olaf mid, and I am a little bit gutted that we don't get to see any cheese.
I've got to be honest, I was expecting more shields.
I was expecting
considering
more shields.
in the interview he said shields.
In fairness,
shield comps.
Rumble has a
shields.
shield, Lee Sin has a shield, Victor has a shield, and Nautilus has a shield.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
all
Victor has a
selfish.
shield,
They're all
yeah.
selfish shields.
Well, Lee Sin's isn't. If he decides to go for the AP Lee Sin, now I don't want to like throw you too difficult statistics to deal with here, but AP Lee Sin's shield actually scales even better than Orianna's shield does.
Does it?
It does. It does indeed. If you ever get linked on Reddit to like the highest the health bars have ever been, you'll see it's always Blitzcrank with shields on, right?
Right.
They always have an AP Lee Sin instead of the Orianna because it's got better scaling.
I see. Today I learned.
Fun fact of the day for you
Fun fact
guys.
of
So
the
if
day.
you're ever wanting to run a shield comp, never take Orianna. Always take AP Lee Sin mid. And obviously, unfortunately, it doesn't scale with anything else. So it's absolute garbage outside of the shield. So if there's any advice I can give you, it's don't ever play it.
Don't
unless
take
it's
your
in
advice.
a custom game and you're just trying to get the biggest shield you can get. So
Well-
we are having a quick look at the two team sheets for these guys. So
But
A
we can do
couple
a
of-
quick run through of the comps.
we can.
On the blue side, they do have very pick orientated comps with the Elise and the Ari. Very good at getting individual picks. They're going to be looking to roam around, get deep vision in, try and outperform. They are very. I mean, if you look at the champions, you can clearly see that they've kind of gone for lane dominant champions. Ari traditionally has a rough time against Victor in the early game, purely because the laser is a lot easier to trade against the Ari. The death ray, coming out of Victor is a lot harsher in terms of trades than Ari's Q. So but as the later the game goes, Victor obviously has significantly less mobility than Ari. So it can favour Ari depending on how the matchup is played. And with both early game aggressive junglers, I suppose it comes down to the fact that who's going to be more aggressive, whether that be AP Lee Sin or full AD attack speed Elise.
Fingers crossed. We don't see either of those. I would pray and hope that Swift does build AD on that Lee Sin.
I hope so.
And I would hope Nemesis. I mean, well, AD Elise makes more sense
Do you
than
think so?
AP Lee Sin does.
Do you think so?
I don't think it's great,
Really?
but I think it makes more sense than the AP Lee Sin.
But now with the Spiderlings changed to scaling with magic damage rather than attack damage, they've actually nerfed AD Lee Sin. So shame on Riot.
Well, they've nerfed AD.
AD Elise,
Elise,
sorry,
not
yeah.
Lee Sin, but yes, you're right. They have nerfed it indirectly. So all two of the AD Elise players in the world are crying today, unfortunately, because their favourite champion has been shadow nerfed, as it were.
Yeah.
But
But
we are going to be heading on to the Rift shortly.
yeah, getting back onto actual statistics and team builds, Hecarim's going to be a terror for that Rumble. I think the matchup's okay, but because of the fact that he has Ignite and Rumble doesn't, is obviously going to work in the favour of Flash. And as I've already said, he is good at Hecarim. You can see, well, you can't see, but we can see that he's got a level 5 mastery on Hecarim, so he's very familiar with the champion. Same for Thresh as well. And a good Thresh player
Nautilus.
is always terrifying, and Nautilus. Oh yes.
So Hook City coming
Hook
up.
City.
They've clearly practiced these champions, and be interested to see how many good dredge lines, how many good death sentences we see coming out in that bottom lane. And against a Callista, it's kind of important that you know how to hook very well, because that champion can be so difficult to land those skill shots on. With that martial poise, the passive, you can jump between each auto attack. It can be very difficult to really get anything to connect to that champion. But if they can land those skill shots, they'll be able to lock her down. And I mean, Nautilus is one of the champions that does particularly well against Callista, because his passive directly counters her passive, like just completely nullifies it. So
Yeah, they do have a lot of lockdown for the Callista. It does. It is very reliable.
it is indeed. But in just a few short seconds, we are going to be heading on to Summoner's Rift for you guys for our third game of the day, PariaG versus TGR Esports. We're just waiting for the spectator bug to go. As if any of you guys ever use spectator, you'll know that just about every single game you watch has about 30 seconds of just nothing happening where the champions don't spawn. So that's my
Top tip
second
for
fun
today.
fact of the day.
Yeah, full of fun facts today.
I'm a fun guy, but I'm not a mushroom though. But I am a fun guy. We are going to be heading onto the Rift in just a moment for you guys. The bug has finally gone, and on the blue side of the map we have PariaG Flash just running, galloping, cantering, trotting down that mid lane. Going to be looking for some deep wards in that mid lane potentially. Bizarrely, we do see the horse down here, possibly going to be starting with those razor beaks, but again, just very, very standard starts across the board. Nobody going for anything too crazy. Just throwing out some wards here. And currently, in the fan vote, we have 50-50 for these guys.
So it does look like that both teams have fans, which is good.
Yep. They have at least one fan each.
Yeah.
At least one. So that's good. That's well,
Gaining their fan base.
assuming that TGR Wilson wasn't lying in the interview, they have 3 fans, so we've got at least 6 fans, potentially at least 6 fans.
You'd hope that the team would vote for themselves as well. I mean,
You would hope so. I would vote for myself.
I would vote for myself.
Alas, I did not vote on this game.
Unfortunate,
No.
but well, we can't be biased, of course. We're not allowed to vote because we are neutral casters.
I
both
actually did
teams
vote on
have,
one of the games.
Both teams have equal chance of winning. At least I like to think so. And it does look like we're going to have pretty standard starts. Unfortunately, it does look like that PariaG are going to get the early level 2 advantage. Or perhaps Lee Sin will smite the Gromp and start on the blue buff. That's definitely a viable option. He'll get the passive from the Gromp. And then he'll say, oh, it looks like he's just decided to solo the blue. So that's another option he can do. So both bot lanes will get the early level 2. And if TGR can use that effectively, they can gain a massive amount of lead. Meanwhile, I'm best support taking a lot of damage on the Gromp, so on the Krug, sorry. So we'll see how that goes.
It certainly is. He's already popped one of those pots and
Ooh.
actually takes the killing
Does
blow on the
take
Krug.
it,
I don't
yeah.
know if that was intentional,
I don't
whether
think
he
it
wanted
was.
the XP. I feel like it wasn't, but he's already level 2, so maybe if he can land the hook, he can't, unfortunately. So, alas, the Krug's sort of gone to waste a little bit there, and 11-2 should be able to hit level 2 before his enemy AD carry. This could be an opportunity if they just go in. With the dredge line, it's not going to land, and the... Or is it going to land? We'll never know. Could hit best support. It's a pretty wide anchor. But,
So it does look like there's a bit of a Callista bug. Apparently her W proc isn't quite procking. So they're going to have a quick... Probably likely going to restart the client, see if they can get that sorted. Meanwhile, we can run through the early game. It does look a bit like that if they can land this hook, which does look very close to landing, perhaps they will... perhaps that they can get that early aggressive, get that early lead in the bot lane, which is really what they need. They did say, we said earlier, as long as they don't lose their lane, they should be good coming into the mid game. And if they can get this early lead, that's even better. That's good for any team, getting an early lead and snowballing it from there. So we'll see how they use this potential early game advantage.
yeah, absolutely. And fingers crossed, at some point today, we'll be able to get into this game for you guys. I personally love pauses. They're one of my favourite things.
Well, I love talking about League of Legends, so pauses means I get to talk more about it.
But you would also be talking about League of Legends if we could watch the game too.
That
And I
is very
love watching League of Legends. But let's take a look at the lineups. Let's take a step back and look at it from a sort of team composition perspective. Now we have a Rumble, we have a Victor, we have a Jinx. So there is a lot of AoE damage coming out from TGR Esports. They're going to be wanting to teamfight. They're going to be wanting to group towards the mid game. However, if you look at the side of PariaG, they also have a potentially very strong team fight composition, but also they have a lot of potential to get picks.
Definitely, yeah. You can see from the TGR side, I mean, with the Rumble ult, with the Victor ultimate, with the Jinx ultimate, very heavy damage, all in terms of an area of effect. So it's a bit of a shame, like, looking at it, Swift doesn't fit ideally into their whole composition, but what he does do is apply early game pressure. you have nice crowd control from the mid lane. You do have some fairly nice crowd control from the bottom lane. So it means that Lee Sin coming into these lanes has the crowd control and able to get that early pressure off. If there was a Janna in the bottom lane, there's very little he could do because Janna isn't a very good initiator. But Nautilus throws out his hook, Nautilus lands his crowd control, holds them in place while Lee Sin gets that early damage down, which he's renowned for. So that is what they're aiming for with the Lee Sin. It's obviously a comfort pick for Swift as well. I'm sure he is going to build at AD rather than the AP that we've so enthusiastically talked about. But it will be, I expect him to be getting that early game pressure down. That is to get their team ahead and snowball them well into these mid-game dragon fights where they're going to be working, where their comp excels.
Absolutely, and we'll see if they're going to be able to throw themselves into that scenario or whether or not we see a bit of an upset coming out from their opponents. Now, I mean, this is a very important match for these guys.
Definitely.
As we talked about earlier, this is the battle for the bacon. Both
Battle
of these
for
guys,
the bacon.
battle of the bacon, battle for the bacon, battle with the bacon, whichever way you want to say it. There's a lot of bacon involved.
There are. Unfortunately, they're not both in the mid lane because I feel like that would be the most. That's the best lane.
That would, but unfortunately, we do have bacon barbecuing up in the top lane with his flame spitter.
We could have like a mini, like they have the Kha'Zix Rengar mini quest. Perhaps we should do it like that, so whichever bacon manages to slay the other bacon can claim superiority and claim to be the superior bacon.
So if at any point QT Bacon Piggy on the Ahri manages to kill Bacon Sizzle Prox on that Rumble, he gets the title, and vice versa.
And vice versa, yeah.
So we'll try and keep on top of that one for you guys. You're probably going to have to remind me of that because when I see team
that
fights,
is something I will not forget.
That's good, because my memory is awful. So one of us needs to remember it. But looking across the board, very, very standard starts, as we said. Both these junglers just going across the map, at least with a much, much quicker clear early on, though. You can't see this on your screen, so I'm just going to use my added advantage to see on the minimap. Elise already across to the wolves, already done the Krugs, didn't do the Krugs, sorry, did the red and then gone across the map to the wolves and then onto the blue buff. Whereas the Lee Sin done the blue buff, just started the wolves, so still has that travel time between him and the red buff. So Nemesis might have a small advantage on clearing that out.
Yeah, it does look like. So it just to give you guys a brief update, we are going to restart the game because unfortunately Kallista's passive wasn't proccing with Thresh, so that's quite a massive bug and it could be fairly game changing, and because we were only 2 minutes into the game, a restart is possible. So we're gonna jump to a quick break, I believe, while we get that sorted out, and then we'll be back to you guys hopefully very soon.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL UK Premiership. We're here in the promotional games. It's our third game of the day between PariaG and TGR. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a game-breaking bug happening. I don't know if you know, but Callista has a W. And the passive on that is when you and whoever you're bound to both auto-attack the same target, you get a proc of extra damage. Unfortunately, that was not working properly, so we have restarted the game. The 3-minute delay has just finished off on my screen. We'll be heading in onto the Rift shortly for you guys, but it is going to be exactly the same draft as before. The only difference being that we're restarting the game because it was before. I think it was at 2 minutes 45 or something. The pause was something like that. Because it was before the 5-minute mark, you can restart the game due to a bug. And obviously, the W for Callista very, very important during the laning phase.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, it does either it's max percentage health damage.
Yeah.
So the maximum amount of health that you have, if both you and your support hit the same target, you do a nice chunk of damage, which is arguably why Callista is still a very strong champion. So even though they nerfed her attack damage, there was a lot of debate about whether or not that was what actually needed nerfing, as opposed to the proc on her passive that she has from the W. So yeah, it's definitely, she's still a strong champion, and we'll see whether or not that affects anything in the bottom lane.
Yeah, we will have to see, but ladies and gentlemen, we are onto the Rift. Fingers crossed. That's the last time I say that for this matchup. But we are going to be jumping straight in for you guys. And we're just going to be seeing, I would expect to see just pretty much standard starts again. That's what we saw last time. I wouldn't have expected the game plans to have changed that much. But then again, obviously they have that sort of 3 minutes of knowledge on their opponents both teams can use. So we'll see. And we just see everyone spreading out across the map yet again. I've seen this basically every game. Very, very standard. Nothing too out of the ordinary.
So we can see a nice statistic on the screen. Generally, I believe that's the TGR. TGR generally prefers to lean towards those tanky support players. So as we can see, Nautilus, he's had over 112 games this season, so that explains the mastery rank that we saw during Champ Select. So he's very comfortable, very familiar with the champion, and as we mentioned earlier, acts as a very nice front line for the Jinx. Gets in the way, throws down the crowd control, especially for Flash, trying to get on top of his face. He can dredge line him in, he can throw the ultimate to knock him in the air, and he has his passive crowd control. So overall, very good champion. However, I'm not sure how it's going to do against both Ari and Elise trying to get onto him at the same time. So we'll see how well he manages to defend his AD carry come into the mid game.
Yeah, and speaking of the AD carry, 11-2 is having a whale of a time down here next to the river. Decided to pull himself together though as the Grump is about to spawn. Going to be starting off yet again with those standard level 2s. TGR actually changing up their strategy slightly. We're going to see Swift starting off with the Krugs. So both teams will pull something out of this sort of restart, obviously. The W appears to be working correctly this time.
It does appear that way.
So we should see a normal game happening now.
And
going to be able to grab that Krug.
This time experience went all the way over to Callista, so opposite of what happened last game. They decided to give the early level 2 to Callista, and this could still be a negative for the case of their bot lane, but we'll see a bit of aggression on bot.
There is indeed. 11-2 taking a huge chunk of damage. They're going to trade some back to own best support, but obviously having that level 2 AD carry does give them a huge spike in damage, and this could well give them a massive advantage during the lane phase.
Yeah, I'm best support now manages to hit the level 2. They need to be really careful at this point. You can see that they've already hasn't missed a CS from the side of iPariaG, building up a nice lead, especially after that early trade that they managed to get in the bottom lane. So very well played, nice use of their advantage. Meanwhile, Swift getting a bit of vision and seeing what Nemesis is doing on this Elise.
Yeah, wants to make sure that he can't be
in the
contested
bot.
in the bottom lane though. Freudian slip goes down. The ignite was used there by I'm best support. Didn't quite catch the action, but a very, very early kill coming through. And I feel like, judging by 11-2's HP bar, oh, actually, this could be a dive. Flame Choppers are going to come out. That should deter the enemy bot lane, though. So should be okay, but I feel like Freudian Slip may well have been going forward to try and get that last hit with the Relic Shield and try and heal up his AD carry.
Every time you're going to say Freudian Slip, I'm going to think that I've done a Freudian Slip. Meanwhile, in the top, bit of aggression from Nemesis.
Bacon Sizzle Procs is going to be alright. Does get caught by the cocoon. There is a spider charging at him, but he's going to be able to stay out of range of that one and be able to walk away from that with ease. Obviously, the Scuttle Crab was in the river, so he spotted that out a long time before he arrived.
Yeah, nice response from the side of TGR. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, as we have a bit of a look, a slight CS advantage on the favor of QT Bacon. So, thinking about it, like, just reminded me of the Bacon battle that we have going on. QT Bacon currently leading the top. Meanwhile, Hook in the bottom.
There is indeed. Freudian Slip going to get caught up. Hook also steps on a Flame Choppers, but look at the damage coming out. Freudian Slip so low yet again. I don't know if he's got much armor on his runes, because he is taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, that was a bit of a poor trade in the bottom lane. As he does appear to be running flat armor runes, so he is pretty tanky. But as we mentioned earlier, the passive from Callista, her Sentinel, that's the name of the passive, it does do percentage max health damage, so that's where he's taking a large amount of the damage. 12% at level 1, that's quite a lot of damage.
It definitely is. And Bacon Sizzle Procs knows all about taking a lot of damage because Flash is going very aggressive. He's going to ignite and he's going to pick up the second kill of the game. Flash with the solo kill up in the top lane.
You can see he held. Oh, never mind. Me on the bot.
Yeah, Freudian Slip flashing forward, gets the slow with the Riptide. He's looking for best support, but he's not going to be able to find it as the flash comes forward. Nemesis picks up one. Swift trades it for another. Jumps back to his ward and flashes as well. And he should be able to get away with this one. I thought that was a cocoon. It's not. It's just the auto attacks are absolutely massive on that skin. They are going to trade 1-for-1 in that bottom lane. Yeah,
support for support. All summoners down though. Even for most summoners down, sorry. Oh, meanwhile, QT Bacon Piggy.
Is he going to flash for this? He is. There's a counter flash for Swift. He didn't know.
Oh, he's what?
Swift! What are you doing? Why did he go back in on that one? The Ignite is ticking down. Swift is going to live. I have no idea what just happened there. First the charm lands. He didn't realize it landed. And then Swift gets away with it, but decides to go ham and then somehow lives through it. That was bizarre.
He doesn't even have any AP on his shield. So incredible that he manages to survive the Ignite using the shield.
Disappointingly.
Disappointing.
Did you know? I won't reiterate.
Yeah. But yeah, it was unfortunate. He wasn't paying attention. He wasn't listening to the sounds of the arrow charm. It does make a slightly different sound if it does connect with the target. Meanwhile, in the top.
That is a lot of damage coming out onto Sizzle Procs. He's going to be able to trade the kill, though. It's going to be 1-for-1 up in that top lane. A little bit of shutdown gold for Bacon Sizzle Procs, but not as much as Hecarim is going to be ahead right now. 2-1-0. Already has those Merc Treads.
That is still in favor of Flash, though, because his teleport has just come back up, and very likely that Bacon Sizzle Procs in the top lane, his teleport will come up around the same time, but the lane's now pushing in favor of Flash. And Bacon unfortunately lost quite a lot of experience and gold as the minion wave was under his tower. So unfortunate there for Bacon Sizzle Procs. While he did get a return kill, the lane unfortunately is still in an unfavorable situation. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane.
The bottom lane indeed is Freudian Slip does manage to get a nice hook. There's a lot of damage coming down though as the Ren comes through and picks up the kill onto 11-2. And now Freudian Slip going to be the focus target. The Ren comes out, but just not going to have the follow-up there to finish that one.
Yeah, unfortunately for iPugX, he was trying to jump backwards to be able to get more Ren stacks onto Freudian Slip, but the range of jumping backwards is a lot lower than jumping forward, so he couldn't really get close enough to Freudian Slip in order to pick up that kill. Meanwhile, Dragon going to be taken on the side of PariaG.
Certainly is, and they should be able to pick that one up with relative ease. Obviously, they are pretty significantly ahead. 2,000 gold at this early stage in the game. Bacon Sizzle Procs is not having a good time with it up in this top lane. Look at the damage coming out from Flash as he goes under tower yet again. Picks up another solo kill onto the enemy rumble. And this is starting to already look pretty bad for TGR.
Well, this is what I mentioned in champs, like Flash is incredibly confident on his Hecarim. He does know how to play it at an exceptionally high level, and he is very familiar with the champion. He abused the fact that he had Ignite over in the top lane. He also abused his level advantage that he gained from doing the Raptors. Meanwhile, in the middle,
Wilson in a lot of trouble. Eats the charm, dodges the death sentence narrowly. He's going to be able to live through that one, obviously. All of that practice, doing the shuffle when you're dancing on Victor, helps him get those fancy feet and dodge away from those skill shots. He's not going to be able to protect this tower, unfortunately, as the AD carry and the mid laner going to be able to push this one down. And literally the best support, he says it himself, unfortunately not able to land the death sentence.
Yeah, nice rotation. Oh.
Phase call is going to be used. Gets the knock up onto Wilson. There's the death sentence. The box is going to follow up as that's one kill coming in for Pug, and there's a kill for his mid laner as well. So the Bacon battle so far is pretty one-sided, as we see 1-0-1 on the Ahri and 1-3-0 on the Rumble. And not to mention, let's take a look at the CS in the top lane for a second. Oh, by the way, Flash has killed him again. Let's just throw that out there. But look at the CS difference as well in the top lane. This is falling apart basically just from the top lane alone. There is a 40 CS lead as well as 4 kills in favour of the Giant Horse. So not really a fantastic situation to be stuck in, as we see PariaG all heading up towards this top lane. They're going to secure themselves a tier 2 tower. And oh, are they actually going to wait in this brush for Rumble? That is pretty rude.
Yeah, we did have some really nice rotations coming out from the side of PariaG. They took the tower on the bot, immediately rotated to the mids. They used their numbers advantage to pick up a pick. And meanwhile, Bacon getting hooked.
He is indeed. R.I.P. Bacon Sizzle Procs. That was...
that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, that was a very cheesy strategy kind of coming out there. Just going to wait in that bush until he arrives back in lane and really bullying that top lane. A 1-5 on that Rumble.
Really is beating the horse while it's down. I mean, it's... Just come back to lane.
They're even beating him with the horse while he's down. Never mind beating the horse. Unfortunately, he is not having a good time of it, and all this while, Flash is loving life right now. 4-1-1 on that horsey, and he's going to be having a great time of it. And across the board, really, the members all having a good time. As the equalizer going to be used just to clear away those minions, it is going to keep the tower alive for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was saying, though, in the during Champ Select. Realistically, the best way TGR are going to win is if they don't die, and unfortunately haven't been able to fulfill that win condition.
Yeah, certainly have not, and we see bit of a base race coming on. No, I'm not sure that this is going to go all the way. That is going to be a tier 2 tower taken away up in the top lane for PariaG. Can they trade this one out for a bottom lane tower? It looks like they might be able to, and actually Pariah, a lot of them deciding not to recall. Still going to be keeping that Kalista up in the top lane as well as the Elise. The tower is going to be going down any second now as Swift does so much damage. There's the ultimate. The Onslaught of Shadows comes through. And nice. Oh no, Ahri has arrived. He's doing a lot of damage. That's going to be Freudian Slip going down. Can they finish it off onto 11-2 as well? There are no charges left. Well, that is a double kill coming through for Flash. Gangplank told me so. And Flash is looking to try and turn this one into a triple. Is going to get caught by the zap though. And in the meantime, we saw Kalista get taken out by Bacon Sizzle Procs.
Oh, teleport coming in for 11-2.
Uh-oh, 11-2. You're going to be going down. There's a charm to finish that one off. Cutie Bacon Piggy doing a fantastic job on that Ahri. 2-0-3 now. Already has the Morella Nomicon and has... Only just came out of base, bear in mind. Has 1,500 gold in the pocket as well. As the Death Sentence lands in the mid lane. The best support in the world there. Managing to land that one as Cutie Bacon Piggy picking up his third kill of the game. And PariaG are just running away with this.
Yeah, like crazy rotations all around the map. I mean, nice shot calling to send some people back. They recognize that 3 members were pushing on the bot tower from the side of TGR. They send Flash. They realize how strong Flash is. Now with his completed Trinity Force, followed up by Bacon Piggy. Originally, they think with Flash going in that they can easily 1 versus 3 him. What they don't expect is Cutie Bacon to be using her Foxfire and her dashes to be able to follow up behind. So unlucky there by TGR, lose a few more kills. Now 7,000, 8,000 gold behind. My math's struggling a bit today as well.
Maths is hard, man.
Maths is hard. So, unfortunately, across the board, TGR not respecting the win conditions, not trying not to die.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they were trying not to.
Well, I'm sure they were trying.
Yeah, that's a bit unfair. Just accuse them like that. But no, they certainly are not having a good
Oh,
time of it.
Cutie
Cutie
Piggy.
Bacon Piggy going very aggressive 2v1 right now, but he's going to be able to just pull it off comfortably. The dredge line going to be used. Freudian slip trying to get to safety, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, as Cutie Bacon Piggy picks up yet another double kill. And I really feel like Cutie Bacon Piggy is just really starting to snowball, and I feel like it's off of his team's achievements in the early game.
Yes.
He's able to pick up all of these kills.
Yeah, that's largely down to I'm best support. Their roams after winning the bottom lane really helped get up a few kills. Meanwhile, in the mid,
Bacon Sizzle Procs is going to be going down. He's sizzling as his machine explodes there, but Swift jumping away with the safeguard. He's not going anywhere though, as Flash picks up his second double kill of the game. Picks up the triple kill, in fact. And now he's looking for more, or is he? The Chaos Storm should deter him for a little while. Wilson doing what he can, but this is going to be the mid lane inhibitor taken down for just 14 minutes, and he can even move up towards his top lane. I don't really have any words for that. Flash just
miscalculated, I want to say.
Definitely miscalculated. Ends up going down. Wilson gonna get dived, and oh my goodness, the damage coming out from Cutie Bacon Piggy. Picks up the kill onto the enemy mid laner. Wilson really underestimating his opponents
Could
there.
this be the quest complete?
Oh, this could well be the quest complete. As Bacon Sizzle Procs is aggressed upon the Bacon. Cutie Bacon Piggy. So, too much bacon. Cutie Bacon Piggy. Doesn't have any mana, so can't really follow up on the engage there.
Still pushing top though, so he
is indeed
extending a little bit, but he has decided to back off. Sentinel is going to spot out the rest of TGR. Yeah, very nice dive there in the middle lane. They recognized that they had the numbers advantage. It was a 5 versus 4, and with how fed Flash is, they landed a nice death sentence to pick themselves up the first kill onto Bacon Sizzle. Unfortunately, that wasn't the quest complete, because Cutie Bacon didn't successfully pick up the kill. So hopefully Cutie Bacon recognizes what he needs to do. Meanwhile, another death sentence lands!
Oh, it does indeed, and he's going to be going down. Another kill into the hands of Flash. 10-2-1 at only 15 minutes into this game. That
another
guy
death
is
sentence!
literally on a rampage. Freudian slip gets caught. Not going to follow up onto that one. Decides to back away. Swift. I feel like that was 11-2, taking so much damage from Cutie Bacon Piggy. Flash ultimate comes out from him. The Spirit Rush doing so much damage. There's another double kill coming through from Flash. There's a double kill for Cutie Bacon Piggy as well. As Flash narrowly escaping with his life. The ace comes through, but only for a second, as Bacon Sizzle Procs respawns and immediately gets caught by yet another on-point death sentence. Literally the best support in the world. Self-proclaimed right there. Landing so many death sentences. They are looking to end this game before 20 minutes. They're looking to... Swift, what are you doing, man? He does get a kill. Gets the shutdown goal. 500 gold in his pocket. But I really feel like TGR may have given up on this one. 16 minutes in, 27-7. 13,000 gold lead. Not statistics that you say very often.
I'd like to say that there was much to analyze there, but unfortunately, I'm afraid not. That's mostly largely due. I mean, there was a beautiful flank from Cutie Bacon Piggy. He recognized that while they were focusing all on what was in front of them, they weren't paying attention to what was coming around from the side. So he got a nice flank, landed a beautiful charm onto Wilson, and then got a ridiculous amount of damage down onto the rest of the team. So beautiful flank coming out from Cutie Bacon Piggy, using Ari as she is supposed to be played. So nice coming out from him, but regardless, they all could have done any kind of engage, and with this kind of a gold lead, they were very likely going to a next team fight. Anyway, but nevertheless, still very well played on the side of Cutie Bacon, and I feel at this point TGR are playing for pride. They're just trying to redeem their KDAs and get whatever kills they can.
I mean, maybe if... Right, the only way I see TGR winning right now is if PariaG kind of get overconfident, and I mean, we've seen a couple of them do some pretty crazy stuff already so far this game, so it wouldn't be too beyond the realm of possibility, but a nice Flame Chomp actually doesn't quite land as 11-2. He's going to get caught up. He's going to be going down as Flash flies in from the side and tramples him underfoot. There's the double kill. And Rampage just doing so much damage at this point in the game, and our best support will be looking for yet another hook onto Bacon Sizzle Procs. Can he land it? Yes, he can. And
Could this be Quest?
could well be the triple kill.
No!
They're not bothered about the quest. They're just wanting multi-kills right now as the quadra kill. Oh, no, it's not. It's just the second double. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Unofficial quadra from Flash.
Unofficial quadra there. Doesn't quite get it as the charm lands onto Wilson. That is going to be not the kill from Flash as he gets caught by the dredge line and may actually go down. The Death Rocket is going to be enough. The Chaos Storm does so much damage to 11-2 right now, though. Oh, except it's on this team, so it's not. That was another Deception that did a lot of damage, but regardless, the Nexus is the thing that's taking the most damage. It's less than half HP. Freudian Slip gets taken down right there. 11-2 trying to do what he can, but he just does not have the damage, and the Nexus will fall. 18 minutes and 50 seconds that took them. That was, well, by far the most convincing victory we've seen today. Quite possibly one of the most convincing victories we will likely see in this promotional tournament. We are, unfortunately, though, going to be going into a quick break before our fourth game. But before we go, make sure you take a look at this trailer for the ESL All Work, All Play movie. It's a movie about esports. It follows in the footsteps of Cloud9. Take a look.
It's like nothing you'll ever experience. Anything can happen at any moment.